So the big thing with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, ever since it was first revealed, is obviously that it is a faithful remake of the originals, and does things a lot more to the T compared to some of the other Pokemon remakes in the past. While this can definitely be seen when playing through the game, that's not to say that there are not differences from the original Sinnoh games in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and in fact, there are a lot of them, which is why in just this video alone, we are going to go over 25 differences between Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and the original Diamond and Pearl. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and get right into it, which is all being made possible by the wonderful sponsor of today's video, UCast Studios, who I run my Pokemon podcast with, and Moorpark College.
It's the most wonderful time of the year at America's Teaching Zoo. This is Wild Lights and Disco Nights. Enjoy an evening on the beautiful hilltop at America's Teaching Zoo, under the stars, amidst the lights, and the disco balls. Walk through the disco ball forest, see Ira the lion in the Lion's Den canopy of lights, and dance the night away in front of our interactive disco dancing wall. While you're strolling down the zoo, enjoy our students as they dress in their most festive gear. Join us on a themed night and wear your best ugly sweater, your favorite holiday pajamas, and party under the stars with glow sticks on Let It Glow, Let It Glow, Let It Glow night. This is the first ever event at America's Teaching Zoo in the dark. Who knows what you'll see? Who knows who will be awake? And who knows who will make a noise or roar? Buy your tickets now because this is the perfect holiday gift and a fantastic night of holiday cheer, great music, lots of lights, and friends and family. Come shine bright and have a wild night at America's Teaching Zoo at our first ever Wild Lights and Disco Nights.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get into the differences now, and there's a few differences in this game compared to the originals right off the bat. First and foremost, you actually get to pick which language you want to play this game in, as opposed to the originals having a set language depending on where in the world you got your game from. Another difference that occurs right at the beginning of the game is that you get to pick your hair, skin, and even your eye color, a feature that has been standard in Pokemon since Generation 6, but obviously was not in the original Diamond and Pearl since they released in Generation 4. Along with a hair and skin color choice, another difference with the Sinnoh remakes is that you can actually customize your character a little bit more than you could in the original, because, well, in the original you couldn't at all. While not as extensive as some other Pokemon games, you are able to pick from several different outfits that you would like to wear from the Metronome Style Shop in Veilstone City, which is, in and of itself, another difference with these games compared to the originals, as this style shop takes the place of the game corner from the original games, as gambling or anything of the sort within Pokemon has been basically removed entirely since Generation 5. Another big obvious difference with these remakes is that your Pokemon can follow you around. In the original games, this could only ever happen in Amity Square, and it was only with certain specific Pokemon, but in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, all of your Pokemon can follow you around in pretty much the entire overworld, and it really makes for an awesome experience. Another obvious difference with these games is the Grand Underground. Not only is it called the Grand Underground instead of just the Underground like the original games, but there's also a multitude of different features and mechanics compared to what was in the original Diamond and Pearl, with one of those being the Pokemon hideaways, where you can actually go and find Pokemon you wouldn't normally otherwise be able to find, and they actually roam around in the overworld, which is a really nice touch and obviously wasn't there in the originals. Once you actually get to start playing the game and moving around, you'll also notice that you have a Nintendo Switch in your room instead of a Wii like you did in the original Diamond and Pearl. Might be a small difference, but it is a difference nevertheless. One more difference that's pretty minor but is a nice quality of life improvement, I guess, at the same time, is that once you get the running shoes, because there are still running shoes in this game, as these games are remakes of Generation 4 titles, you don't actually have to press B to use them like you did in the original games. In Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, you would normally walk as your default travel speed, but if you held B, then you would run. In the remakes, you just run around all the time and you don't have to hold the button. Another difference that I thought was really interesting, because it's not really necessary at all, but it was there nevertheless, is that you actually begin Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl without your signature hat on, and you get your hat just as you're about to leave and head out on your adventure, which is different from the originals and was kind of an interesting choice. The TMs are also something that are different in this game, because in the original game, whenever you got a TM, you were only gifted one. However, in this game, you actually normally get 3 at a time instead. This is in order to keep in line with the original games and the fact that TMs break after one use, but also be in line a little bit with the modern Pokemon style, which is that TMs don't break and you can use them as much as you want. Therefore, the game gives you multiple, so you can have multiple uses while still having them break after one use like the original games. And of course, along with TMs, HMs are also different in these games as well. You no longer have to teach your Pokemon the HM in order to use it. All of the HMs are now instead put into the Pokétch, and that is how you use them. However, you only get access to them after you defeat gym leaders, just like in the original games. And finally, these HMs, while still obtainable in the game, have been converted to TMs instead. Another cool thing about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl that wasn't really there with the originals is that there's a much bigger emphasis put on the seals, which are now called stickers, which you can put onto your Pokeball to customize the release animation. And one of the ways that this bigger emphasis is put on this feature is that you actually get gifted some stickers from the gym leaders upon defeating them, so you can use some of their signature release animations as well. Another difference with stickers, which used to be seals in this game, is that you actually get access to them much earlier on than you did in the original Diamond and Pearl. In Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, you are gifted the ability of stickers right after the first gym, and you're actually gifted them by BB, the Sinnoh Region PC System Administrator, and you also meet her for the first time in Jubilife City after your first gym battle as well, which is much earlier than you originally did, which was all the way in Hearthome City at her house, so this is kind of a 2-in-1 difference. You get earlier access to stickers, and you get to meet BB a little earlier too. Moving on from stickers, another difference with the remakes compared to the original Sinnoh games is that if you have a Pokemon on your team who is poisoned, they won't actually be hurt by the poison when you're walking around. This was a mechanic in the original Diamond and Pearl, as it was for all of the older Pokemon games, but in Generation 5 this mechanic was removed, and that removal is kept intact in these remakes. Another minor yet cool difference in these remakes is that upon gaining access to the bike, you get to actually choose your bike color. You can choose from red, green, blue, or yellow. Another difference in the underground in the Sinnoh remakes that was not present in the original games has to do with a new mechanic involving Diglett and Dugtrio. You will find these Pokemon throughout the Grand Underground in the Sinnoh remakes, and upon interacting with them, they will gain you points, and upon gaining 40 of these special points, you will be able to access new mining areas within the walls of the Underground, and these special mining areas will grant you access to gorgeous stone boxes, which will allow you to get the rarer jade statues that feature in the game and that you can decorate your secret base with. And speaking of these statues, they are another brand new thing in this game that were not in the originals. And it's actually an interesting change because these statues essentially entirely take the place of the standard secret base decorations that we saw in the original games, where you had a lot of the standard decorative items like you did when secret bases first debuted in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Outside of the underground though, another cool thing about the remakes that's different from the originals is the fairy type. The fairy type is now officially a part of the Sinnoh experience, whereas before it wasn't because it did not exist until Generation 6. In the original Diamond and Pearl, within Jubilife City, you would eventually come across the GTS, which is basically the place where you would conduct all of your online trades, where you traded with people from clear across the world. However, this building is no longer the GTS, instead it is known as the GWS, or Global Wonder Station instead of Global Trade Station. Outside of the name though, we don't exactly know what's going to be different with this location in the remakes because we haven't yet got access to it. Apparently, some future update is going to come to the games which will grant us access to the Global Wonder Station so we can finally see what it's all about. If I personally had to guess, due to the presence of the word wonder in the name, it might be a place where we are able to conduct wonder trades, which would be another difference in this game since wonder trades were not in the originals. Another addition to these remakes that was not present in the originals is actually something that I've already touched on in a previous video, but it is still pretty cool and it's still a difference nevertheless. Within the old chateau, you can find what is now a pretty iconic painting that has glowing red eyes that only ever glow when you're looking away from it, which makes it even creepier. However, an additional feature of you looking at this painting and then looking away from it, in addition to the glowing red eyes, is the fact that you will actually hear a laugh play ever so faintly whenever you look at this picture and then look away from it. One more difference within the remakes that occurs right at the beginning of the game actually occurs within that little title screen movie that plays if you just sit on the title screen and don't do anything. This movie is actually a little different with all of its effects and its shots compared to the original, and it actually kind of spices it up a little bit, which is pretty cool. One more addition to the remakes that actually has got a lot of people talking is the addition of a new library book that can be read at the Canalave Library. Many people are familiar with the books that you can read at this library due to their various myths and legends about the Sinnoh region and the amount of lore they provide for the Pokemon world as a whole, but the additional new book that they have added this time around with the remakes actually is an interesting one because it seems to be possibly hinting at Pokemon Legends Arceus. The book is titled The Sea's Legend, and the game recognizes that it's only recently been made available in the library. It reads as follows. Once upon a time in the East Sea, there was a Pokemon known as the Prince. A brave human asked Pokemon living in the sea to let them see the Prince. Mantike, Buizel, and a Quillfish with huge spikes acknowledged the human's bravery and joined them. Together, they set off in a boat over the sunset-streaked sea, sailing through the ocean gate stretched over the waves. News of this reached the ears of the prince, who went to meet the brave little party at the seaside hollow. It's been heavily speculated as to what this new story could actually mean, but it seems to be the case that it's hinting at something that's going to be appearing in Pokemon Legends Arceus. And in particular, it seems to be hinting at a new form for Quillfish, since it specifically mentions that the Quillfish in the story has huge spikes. It's also been noted, however, that this story bears a marked similarity to the Pokemon Ranger movie because it's describing a Pokemon known as a prince, and Manaphy is known as the Prince of the Sea, and it also mentions a Mantike and a Buizel, which also appear in the movie, so there could be multiple things going on here, but if I had to guess, I would indeed say that it's probably hinting at something towards Pokemon Legends Arceus. Another new addition to Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is actually something that has started to appear in the more recent Pokemon games in general, and as such has extended its way into the Sinnoh remakes. And that would have to do with the in-battle mechanic of Pokemon being able to basically heal themselves or tough out various hits if they actually have a close enough bond and friendship with you. This would have to do with things like being able to survive on 1 HP if they would have otherwise fainted due to a hit, being able to sometimes get rid of their own status ailments due to their friendship with you, etc. While many of these differences so far have had to do with additions to the remakes compared to the original Sinnoh games, this next difference actually has to do with an exclusion. Now, full disclosure, I'm not really much of a Pokemon contest guy, so I'm just reporting on what I'm seeing in the games here. I don't really know all of the nuance of it, if any, but your Pokemon's moves in these games don't actually have the special contest types anymore like they did in the originals. These types included categories like coolness, beauty, cuteness, cleverness, and toughness, but for whatever reason, they don't seem to be applied to your Pokemon's moves anymore when you're doing a contest. Here's one that's really quick and easy to mention, and it's also honestly a godsend, and that is that the games are not slow anymore. The original Diamond and Pearl were very infamously and very painfully slow in terms of how fast they moved, but thankfully in the remakes they did not replicate that and sped things up to a more standard speed that can actually be enjoyed. And last but not least, the final difference in Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl compared to the originals that we're going to mention in this video is that the movesets of various trainers' Pokemon have actually been tweaked so that they can actually counter your potential moves and strategies, which is actually pretty cool. For instance, Volkner's Raichu actually knows Surf, which it did not know in the original games, and this would obviously be to counteract any ground types that may be coming its way. Other move differences that I also noticed include Bertha's Whiscash knowing Ice Beam, and Cynthia's Roserade now having access to Dazzling Gleam, which it of course did not know in the original games since Dazzling Gleam is a fairy type move. And there you have it. Those were 25 differences between the Sinnoh remakes and the original games. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and let me know in the comments below if you know of any other differences that you have noticed in the games as well. Like I said, I know this is not all the differences, so if this video does well and you'd like to see me cover some more, I can definitely do that in a future video as well. With that being said, I will be back very soon with another video, so be sure to subscribe if you're new so you can know when that goes live, and until then, as always, I love you guys very much, thank you for watching, and I will smell you guys later.